Hey guys, Jonathan here, and I just saw the Thunderbolts tonight in theaters. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I have so many thoughts, and I am going to talk spoilers, but not yet. So if you're concerned about spoilers, don't worry, I'll warn you before I get there. But this movie is so fascinating because the entire premise is that the cast are not A-listers, right? It's John Walker, the U.S. agent who we last saw in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, Yelena from Black Widow, who has also appeared in Hawkeye, but we haven't really seen her in quite some time. Red Guardian, who I think the last time we saw him was in What If, which technically isn't the main universe, so we haven't seen him since Black Widow 5 years ago. Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's been 7 years, and, we're just putting together this team. Bucky, we've seen him last in, well, just Captain America Brave New World a couple months ago, but basically, the team that we're working with in this film are all kind of B-listers within the MCU. So it's an interesting premise right off the bat. You don't have your A-listers in this for theater draw, if you will, but it really reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy in all the right ways. Obviously not some spacefaring mission, but taking these kind of like oddball characters and building a team and family dynamic around them and watching that grow. A thought that came to my mind too is, when you think about Guardians of the Galaxy, that movie came out 11 years ago. 11 years ago, I wasn't even in college yet. And this is just speaking for me personally, right? So I've grown up and my life has changed a lot since then, but my love for Marvel is still the same. And I think that this movie really treats the audience with that level of understanding and dignity, in that I'm not the same person I was 11 years ago when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy in theaters. I've grown and I've changed, and so this brings back that heart from Guardians of the Galaxy, but really brings it up to speed for somebody that's grown up with Marvel. But it's also a great jumping on point too. There's not a lot of like previous Marvel lore you need to know other than what the Avengers are. Everything is explained really, really well. So honestly, like, if this was the first Marvel movie you ever saw, it's a perfect point to jump into the movie, which is kind of crazy to think about because this movie comes out, then Fantastic Four, and then we're right into Doomsday. So it is kind of cool to like have an entry point right here. But I will say, if you've seen everything that all of these characters are in, it definitely adds a lot, right? Because we understand more about John Walker, we understand more about like Yelena and the Red Guardian and their, father-daughter relationship, and all of these sorts of things. So you don't need to have seen all the movies, but if you have, it just makes them that much richer. So highly recommend seeing this movie. And with that being said, we're getting into spoilers. So spoiler time. I think that this movie absolutely stuck the landing. Sentry is so cool, the way they adapted him from the comics. It really feels like the best way they could bring a character like Sentry into the MCU, because we get all the different personalities, again, lifted right from the comics. We get Bob, we get Sentry, and we get the Void. Really, my biggest critique and complaint about the movie is how rushed the Sentry character feels, in the sense that we go from Bob, Val helps him develop his powers or discover them, then he walks down the steps as Sentry with the blonde hair and the costume, which looks so good, by the way, and then as soon as he fights the Thunderbolts, he just immediately is like, I don't need any of you, da-da-da-da-da-da. It felt like a very, very quick realization, which you need to keep the movie going, I get it. The pacing of the movie felt really, really good to me, too. So literally, that is the one moment that to me was like, it felt like it kind of got a little bit rushed in, but to keep the story moving and so on and so forth. The rest of it, especially visually, oh my gosh, it was crazy. They really, really upped the cinematography in this movie, and a lot of things that they did with lighting and length of shadows, even just the color palette of the movie is really, really fascinating compared to a lot of other Marvel movies. It uses a little bit more of a dull color pattern, color grade, if you will, throughout the film, so that I feel like when you see a character like Sentry pop up in that great golden costume, it really leaps off of the screen. So I love that this film, from a cinematic standpoint, had a lot of unique thumbprint on its own, and it really stands out from a lot of other MCU movies in that way. Honestly, it kind of reminded me of Eternals in the sense that Eternals to me has a very, very distinct visual style, and I think that this movie does too. It's not too grandiose, but it is pretty unique in what it is. Now, the way that the team comes together, I really, really like. Obviously, we see Taskmaster in the marketing for the movie, and she gets just destroyed and killed, like, right off the bat, which is crazy. And it really sets the stakes of who these characters are and who we're dealing with right off the bat like that. But I think it's cool to see how all of these characters have kind of, I guess, devolved into working with Val. Maybe that's the right word, that, like, they don't have anything else. You know, they've been discarded by society, by their families, even by themselves to some extent. So, you know, Val is kind of manipulating them and using them for her own nefarious needs. And then I love the way that Bucky is, like, on the case now that he's in government. I don't think that that government stint lasts too long, though, because he's now in the new Avengers, as we see in the post-credit scene. So that's pretty interesting that it was basically just a plot device for Bucky to use for this movie. But, hey, I guess when you're an Avenger, you know, that's the highest calling you can have in the MCU society, so it works. But, yeah, I thought it was cool that, you know, we hear a little bit about what happened to Thunderbolt Ross as far as, like, how society is perceiving the Red Hulk out from the end of Brave New World, which wasn't too long ago. But then when we get to that post-credits scene, we jump 14 months ahead, and of course we see the Fantastic Four's ship hurtling toward Earth, which brings in a lot of interesting questions. I mean, it kind of tells us the fate of the Fantastic Four and, like, where that movie is presumably going to end. I mean, how crazy would it be if in Fantastic Four, like, I don't know, they come to the 616 universe and bring the new Avengers back with them to fight Galactus or something. I mean, the post-credit scene opens up so many crazy doors, and we don't really see a lot other than the four on their ship logo, and that's that. So let's start talking about the characterization here. Yelena definitely steps into the lead role, and Florence Pugh does an incredible job carrying the emotional weight of this movie. I love that. It's really crazy to me how John Walker is just, he is an asshole. I mean, there's just no way around it. They call it out in the movie, and he just is. He's a little bit more than I remember him being even in The Falcon and Winter Soldier, but I think life has beaten him down a lot since then, and it makes sense. But it's great to see him kind of heal throughout this movie and grow into that. I love seeing Ghost again. Just as a cool little shout out, I actually met Hannah John Kamen years ago at the Ant-Man and Wasp premiere, and she signed the gauntlet of my Ant-Man suit. So it's pretty cool to see her back all these years later. She was really nice to me when I got to meet her. But I think it's cool that they kind of made Ghost a little bit more mature. Like in the Ant-Man movie, she was just basically using the suit to survive and kind of, you know, doing the bidding for Sonny Birch just to get by, but here she's really used the suit to turn into a mercenary, which is pretty wild. Red Guardian, I mean, you know, he's living in his heyday and just wishing that he could get back to those times, so it's cool to see him grow and step into being even more of a father figure for Yelena, and now an Avenger. I mean, heck, he's on the Wheaties box, you know, it's pretty darn cool. So yeah, I really, really dig that. I love what they did with Bob and how his mental health struggles really are the central point of the entire movie. I mean, it drives the whole thing home, and the visuals with, like, the void and just how it all plays out is just so great, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I can't wait to go back and see it again, but I am really busy this weekend with, I got to get the custom minifigure showcase done. I'm doing a Whatnot stream on Saturday night that's going to be all Thunderbolts themed, which is going to be really, really fun. Plus, we've just got all kinds of Marvel news going on in the Lego world, so I've got so much on my plate. I'm also going to be working on a set. Like, I'm going to build a set from this movie, which you guys definitely want to stay tuned for. I think that'll probably come out on Sunday or maybe Monday. Okay, real talk. I always keep it real with you guys. I filmed the whole film review and felt really good, sat down, started editing it, and then I realized I never talked about the Lego angle. It's so late at night. It's been a long day. Today's actually been a really long day. But we're here to talk about Thunderbolts, so we'll leave it at that. But, yeah, so I don't really know why we didn't get Lego sets for this. Like, imagine if we had gotten, like, $80, $90, $100 Avengers Tower like we used to get, and it just came with all the Thunderbolts and Sentry, even maybe Valentina. Like, that could easily be a Lego set. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. all I can think is that maybe this movie, like in early talks and pre-production, was going to be a lot more violent or rated R. And so Lego was like, you know what, we're not going to make any sets off this. And that's why, because in recent memory, the last Lego set, or excuse me, the last Marvel movie that didn't get any Lego sets would have been Deadpool and Wolverine, which, due to the language, a lot of the jokes made in it, and of course the violence, and the fact that it was rated R, it definitely makes sense why Lego didn't make sets. I wish they made sets. I'm just saying it makes sense why they didn't. So that's the only thing I can really think here. If you've seen the movie and can weigh in why you think that this movie didn't get any Lego sets, let me know. I think that another cool Lego set could have been, like, you know, Alexi's Red Guardian limousine, and it could come with the characters there. So, again, like, oh my gosh, it could have had Bucky on his motorcycle, too. You could have got all the Thunderbolts right there. So, it is depressing. I really don't know why we didn't get Lego sets, but with the reveal of them being the new Avengers, I have a very good feeling we're going to see all of them in Doomsday. And for that very, very reason, we'll probably get minifigs if we just stay patient. So, gotta stay patient, but yeah, definitely a bummer we didn't get any sets for this. So, with that, we'll go ahead and round out the video. Let me know what you thought of the Thunderbolts. Let me know what you thought of the review. Did you agree? Did you disagree? I'd love to hear what you think. And I'll see you, yes, you, on the next video.